name. Uh, he's supposed to be doing some workshops and stuff, and that'll be interesting. I don't. I will tell you this. I'm pretty certain that a lot of it is a lot of Photoshop and a lot of post processing. So I don't know.
Julian Julian Julippi or
Yes, I think it's Julian or Jules. I'm trying to find it. I don't have a lot of people that I,
well,
you know, I.
okay, it's Julian V
Oh yeah,
Jolliffe, and I hate to pronounce it because I really want to talk to the guy, and I don't want to butcher his last name.
butcher his name before he gets here. Yeah.
Although I'm sure I would not be the first person.
No, I didn't even know what his name. I thought he was Asian when I first, and then I saw that he was out of Riverside, which is the area that I live in. I did notice one thing, and I do want to talk to him about this. I noticed that there's a conspicuous lack of people and animals in his work. I'm wondering if his post processing precludes him. Here it is. Okay, let me bring it up so I can. Yeah, Julian V. Jolliffe, probably. I don't need. I'm not even gonna try it. Yeah, a lot of his stuff is high dynamic range stuff. Obviously, he's doing heavy post processing, and he's also, I can see here, he's doing some long exposure stuff because he's got some light trails, and he's got
Yeah,
some waterfalls, and he's got that long exposure tidal ocean work, and also I can see there's some architecture that is obviously at night, and I can see that he's done long exposure on that, and I can also see it on some pier. There's a lot of he does a lot of ocean stuff. He's probably hanging out in Oceanside, or well, I can see some riverside landmarks that I know, and yeah. And he's also doing some, yeah, he's doing a lot of, oh wow. He's got some, picture of the Queen Mary. Yeah.
mm,
So he's doing a lot of really interesting stuff. And so we wanted to talk to him about what he was doing. He says he's really busy. So he said he can get with us he thinks in, December or maybe January. So hopefully December. But I did notice that there tends to be almost there's a conspicuous absence of people, and I'm wondering if the style that he's doing precludes that, and I think it probably does. I think what's happening is that he is not.
well,
I mean, you can't get a guy to stand still long enough.
yeah, I was gonna say if you're doing long exposure work, that kind of precludes anything that they can't stay still for
Yeah, that's what I believe is probably going on. The few things that I do see that have people, which is about two or three pictures, they don't look like that high dynamic range, or that's, like when you're shooting water and you do the long exposure and you get that soft, silky look. Yeah, he doesn't have, they don't have that. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting story. I'd like to see that guy and then talk to him about what he's doing. Let's see, there was something else I wanted to talk about. Oh, you were talking about filters, and this is a film thing, but Ilford, that company that we talked about out of England, they just released a couple of things. Some of it is not relevant to us, and that is photo paper. That's darkroom photo paper, not inkjet photo paper. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is their the new film that they released, which is it's a black and white because Ilford only makes black and white. Okay, that's actually a misnomer because they actually make a film. It's called a chromogenic black and white. Technically, it's color film, and you process it as C41, but it only shows up as black and white. And the reason they did that is because you have to process black and white differently than color. And when you do that, it's like you can't take black and white film to Walmart and have them do it. They won't, because they don't process like that. They would send it out. So if you wanted it fast, you couldn't get it. But
right.
which is called I think it's called XP2. And it's interesting because I got a couple versions. Kodak made a film similar to that, and I got a couple rolls of that I'm shooting, and I don't think I've developed anything yet, but I want to see what that looks like. I've heard that it tends to have a greenish cast, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, if that comes down, I can change it. I can fix it in Photoshop. But they're producing a new film. If I can find the damn thing, it's a brand new. They just talked about it, and let's see if I can find it. They just talked about it, and it's orthochromatic. And the thing, if you've ever seen old movies where people are in a dark room, there's a red light in there, and they're doing their you can't actually do that. That's only in the movies. Well, you can't do okay. You can only do that with certain film. Orthochromatic film does not pick up red at all. That's why you're able to do that. Yeah, it's called Ortho Plus. The thing is that you can't have any light in the darkroom with most film because it picks up the entire visible spectrum. But ortho film does not. It does not pick up red. And so one of the things that happens is anything that's red is reproduced as black. So it has a kind of a 1930s horror movie look. So yeah. And also, people were doing a thing where they would shoot black and white, and they would shoot it with a red filter. And that gives you a very ominous-looking sky, because usually what happens is the blue, it turns almost white, and the clouds, or the blue turns black, and the clouds turn very white. And anything that's red will turn it black, which is because there's nothing there. There's no information. So they just released that, and it looks like it's pretty promising. It's a specific film. It's got an ISO 80, so it's a very slow film. But I think that them releasing a new film, especially a specialty film like that, that's not going to be a commonly sold film. If you're running a film company and you're selling specialty film, that cannot be your bread and butter. The way you pay your people and the way you make a profit is with your standard films that get sold, because because people are not going to buy 1,000 rolls of Ortho Plus. They're going to buy 1,000 rolls of HP5 or 1,000 rolls of whatever else they sell, HP5 and a couple other things they sell. Ilford is known for a handful of films that are very famous. Where are they? Pan F, and a film called HP5, and a couple other films, which shall remain nameless. But the fact that they're releasing a specialty film, orthochromatic, especially something that's not going to be used every day, I think that's an interesting turn of events as far as the longevity of film itself as a medium. So yeah, we'll see how that goes, because for a long time, the only thing that they're selling is film that is popular and common. Because, if I was to buy Ilford film, I would buy a shitload of Delta 400, and then a handful of rolls of Ortho Plus for doing weird stuff, and doing punk bands and weird landscapes and things like that, because it's not going to give you a true to life representation. It's going to give you a specific look, which of course I could reproduce in Photoshop or Lightroom if I wanted to. But if you wanted to, really hardcore it and have no way of going back, the thing about shooting black and white is you have to get it right the first time, because you don't go back. So yeah, and I did hear something interesting too. There was a guy, we were talking about a guy named Tim off this podcast called Analog Talk. The other guy I told you that had gotten not assaulted, but somebody took his camera and smashed it because they felt he was taking pictures of their kid or some shit like that. He was talking about shooting black and white, and he says that one of the things that happens is that when he's been shooting some color, and he says it's funny because certain really colorful things will insinuate themselves into the frame, even though they're not the main subject. So if there's something he was talking about, I'm taking a picture of this house, and there's this bright red mailbox out in front, and people's eyes get drawn to that. But if I'm shooting black and white, that's not an issue. The only thing that happens is the main subject, because I compose it that way. So sometimes,
Right.
sometimes certain things will alter you compose a picture, but when there's things out on the side that are bright or interesting, the eye will go that way, even though it's not, even though it's not within what we would consider common composition rules. The eye
Right.
picks that up and wants to see it, which is fine as long as you're aware of it. So anyway, as far as black and white goes, that's kind of I kind of drew that out. But the reason a lot of people will shoot black and white is because they don't want that to happen. They want you to look at the subject that they're composing, not at peripheral crap that happens to be in there, which you can just crop out if you want, So everybody has their own way. You can say, oh, well, I shoot black and white because of this and that, and I want, the composition to be the number one thing. Okay, well, I can crop that. I can crop that. I shoot black and white because I like to look. Okay, well, I can Photoshop that. You can say all you want, and you can, but it's personal preference. It has nothing to do with reality. If I wanted to, I could bullshit anything I want. I actually had a guy tell me that I constantly hear this, the term cheating. Cheating. I'm like, cheating? What the fuck are you talking about, cheating? This isn't poker. This isn't freaking Monopoly. This is photography, and yet this guy is talking about, well, if you replace the sky, that's cheating. I go, dude, no, that's not cheating. You don't understand the meaning of the word. He goes, well, then you can just do anything you want and completely bend reality if you want. Yeah, I can.
Yes.
Damn right. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Fuck yeah, I can.
Guess what? It changed the way movies were made. Go watch some, and don't get me wrong. Star Wars was a massive achievement for what it was in 1977. But literally, stand it up next to something sci-fi even on television today.
Yeah.
There's no comparison. It looks dated.
Well, if you go back to the Last Starfighter, for those who don't know and are not into film, that was probably one of the first computer-generated graphic space movies ever. And when you look at it, let me tell you something. It was impressive. It's still impressive now, but compared to Black Panther or Avengers Endgame, it's pretty dated. But that's because technology moves so fast. So
but as opposed to Avengers Endgame and all that, which the story's okay. It's not the most and my problem with movies today is the effects. You know what? Maybe you should go back to a few lo-fi effects if it means you can give the writers a little bit more money. The Last Starfighter, you forgive the graphics that are a bit dated because it's a good story.
Yeah, it is. It's a hell of a movie.
Tron, the visual.
Oh my god!
You sit there and you watch those effects and you go like, "Holy crap!" But the story is so good, you can forgive that.
Tron at the time was freaking groundbreaking. When we walked in there, we were just blown away. It'd be like walking into Star Wars that first showing, and just like, oh my god, what is this? And not having any clue how they did it. It was the same thing when Tron went down. We were like, oh my god, this is a new era in filmmaking.
And it's the same thing with film or with picture taking, photography. When it all comes down, it's not about what you used or the gear you used or whether or not you put it into light shop. The end result is all that matters.
It is.
All the consumer cares about is the end result. I don't care